Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Nightly News. I'm Clancy Carter. We're beginning with breaking news today. Right now, as we speak, South Carolina lawmakers are voting on the DEI bill. If it passes, the bill will limit programs that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in schools. Last week, there were some changes to the bill that sought to dictate who businesses who have contracts with the state could hire. That provision was stripped from the bill. It is expected to pass, but we'll keep you updated on how that vote goes. Flames are continuing to tear through Table Rock State Park in Pickens County. This is a video from the Table Rock live stream happening right now. The wildfire has burned more than 1,000 acres and is still 0% contained. Smoke from the fire has spread into Greenville County, lowering air quality and reducing visibility. Mandatory evacuations are in effect for areas near Cliff Ridge and Bald Rock, with a shelter open at Marietta First Baptist Church. Staying in Greenville County, crews are battling strong winds and dry brush as they work to protect the community. The Persimmon fire is still burning. You can see on the map here it's not that far from us, only about a 30-minute drive from Furman. This fire has now burned over 50 acres. As of right now, the cause of this fire has not been reported. Up in North Carolina, 3 brush fires continue to burn. As of now, we know one fire is almost 100% contained. This map on your screen shows the locations of the 3 biggest fires up in western North Carolina. We're told the Black Cove fire has burned 1,000 acres and is still 0% contained. The fire at Deep Woods burning just over 1,100 acres and also 0% contained. The Fishhook fire has burned about 190 acres, and last we checked it was 50% contained. Now, all of North and South Carolina is under a burn ban. This means you cannot burn anything. And we want to remind you, as these fires intensify, so does the smoke. With bad air quality, you're encouraged to stay inside, especially if you have lung disease or allergies. But if you have to be outside, please be safe. A Furman student is in the hospital today recovering after she was hit while riding her bike last week. Cameron Winterston, a junior at Furman and cross-country team member, was biking down Paris Mountain last Tuesday when a car coming up Altamont Road crossed the yellow line into her lane and hit her, knocking her down a steep embankment. She was in surgery last Wednesday but is expected to recover. However, she is expected to be in the hospital for a few more weeks, and we thought it would be a good idea to send her some cheer to help her in her recovery. So please send cards to her at the address on your screen. Make sure you put her name and room number on the card. Cameron Winterston, room 4024, Prisma Health, 701 Grove Road, Greenville, South Carolina, 29605. Covering the country now, we're fact-checking a story that has been making headlines all week. President Trump is signing an executive order to, quote, dismantle the Department of Education, end quote. Professor of Politics and International Affairs, Dr. Danielle Vinson, says Trump can't actually shut it down without Congress.
Do it. The question here is, can they do it this way? Probably not, because Congress, by law, created the Department of Education. And so there are serious questions that are being raised about as DOJ comes in and encourages cabinet secretaries to cut staff. Are they going so far that they're making the departments or agencies incapable of functioning? And if so, is that actually violating the law?
So essentially, to eliminate the department, lawmakers would need to pass a bill in both the Senate and the House. As of right now, the Republican Party doesn't have enough support. From your coffee to that new car you've been looking at, prices are going up across the market. And a big cause for that might be the recent tariffs President Trump has proposed, which begs the question, what are tariffs? Our Lainey Harness is in the studio now to break it down for you. Lainey?
Thanks, Clancy. So basically, a tariff is just a tax that U.S. companies pay on products that they're buying to sell to you. You can think of it sort of like a fee that they have to pay the government. Now, that extra cost usually gets passed down to you, the consumer. I spoke with Dr. Kelsey Hample in the economics department to help explain.
Tariff means that it's a tax that's applied not to income or to the stuff that you buy at the grocery store necessarily, but specifically applied to things that come over a border. So these tariffs are often paid at a port of entry, and it just increases the price. What we could have imported a car for previously, now there's a higher price on that.
Now, the U.S. is known for keeping tariffs relatively low. However, President Trump has taken a different approach, placing some pretty hefty tariffs on imports from China, Mexico, and Canada, ultimately putting us in a trade war. Now, these include a 25% tariff on all goods from Mexico and Canada, and a 10% tariff on all Chinese goods. 25% tariff on steel and aluminum, which has already affected both the car manufacturing and soda industry, and more, including a threat to put a 200% tariff on alcohol from the European Union. Now, the president claims this is to boost American manufacturing, protect jobs, and shrink the trade gap. But lots of economists are worried this strategy won't work, warning that these tariffs could push the U.S. towards a recession, especially as other countries hit back with retaliatory tariffs. Both Canada and the EU have put tariffs on U.S. goods, and China is also pushing back, calling the tariffs unfair with a promise to retaliate. Andrew Farrell is an economics major here who has studied the effects of tariffs.
My personal belief is that I see some proof that they're an effective negotiation tool. I don't think that there's a whole lot of economic proof, though, that they're going to benefit the U.S. economy.
So bottom line is, this trade war is really shaking up the global market and could hit you where it hurts, your wallet. We will continue to keep watching as these retaliations develop and bring you the latest. Clancy?
Thank you, Lainey. The Trump administration claims that most of these tariffs will go into effect a week from today. Back on campus now, today Furman students finished up the annual housing lottery selections to choose where they'll live next year. The process has been a stress point in previous years, but it seems like things are looking up this time. Sidney Lyn has the story.
Thanks, Clancy. Housing at Furman isn't just about where you sleep. It's proven to become a community too. Where students live often influences who they spend their time with, what events they attend, and how connected they feel to the broader campus. Last year, the housing lottery left some juniors feeling frustrated and left out, especially those placed in sophomore housing like Clark Murphy or McBee Hall. Despite being promised an upgrade, for many, the placement felt like a broken promise and a missed opportunity. But this year, things are looking up. With renovations to North Village finally wrapping up, more upperclassmen are getting the housing they expected all along.
But I feel like it went by so much easier, and I didn't have a problem choosing my apartment or anything like that. There were a lot of rooms available, and our slot was at a good time. So I feel like it went a lot better this year.
Curtis Nash, head of the housing lottery, says the return of full housing inventory has made all the difference.
Something that impacted about 80 juniors, and this next academic year, because all of the renovations will be done, North Village J will be completed this summer. So for the 25-26 academic year, all juniors and seniors will fit in North Village. Through the housing lottery process, every rising junior senior group who formed a group for the housing lottery for step 3 to select a space, they were able to select a North Village apartment. And for the juniors and seniors who were on the housing wait list, they also will live in North Village. However, their housing assignment will come later in the spring or later in June.
With more options available and fewer students being displaced, many are hopeful that this year marks a reset for the housing lottery. The hope now is that future housing lotteries will be less about stress and more about choice. Thank you. I'm Sidney Lyn with the Nightly News.
Thanks, Sidney. With housing back on track, we're seeing a smoother, more reliable process this year. One of our local filmmakers, Cole Kennedy, a senior at Furman University, has based his senior documentary on his great-grandfather, Will Howard Arnold, who accepted the first mass surrender of a Japanese garrison to the Allied forces during World War II.
I mean, it's been very fulfilling on a personal level, just because some of the stuff I learned about my great-grandfather in the event and, well, the liberation of Cebu, my own grandfather didn't really, either didn't remember or didn't really know, so it was really good being able to track some of the stuff down, get a lot of the detail out of it for him, but also for the members of the American Veterans Association, as there is only one piece of, frankly, scholarship at all that even talks about this event, and that was a book written by an American Division veteran in '51.
Cole's documentary is set to premiere on Friday, March 28th in Burgess Theater. It is free and open to the public. Furman University's Artist in Residence program hosts Derek Reese and his exhibit Daily Bread this semester. This week, we got the opportunity to speak to him and the Artist in Residence program director to see what they hope this program will do for future students in the greater Furman community.
As a professional artist, we're always looking for opportunities outside of our home city. For me, that happens to be Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I saw the open call to be an artist in residence at Furman. And they were looking for an artist who was interested in extensive community engagement, particularly in collaboration with one of their 4 institutions that are here on campus. I was particularly drawn to the Shy Institute for Sustainable Communities because of the farm that they have there. For the last couple of years, I've integrated food into my artwork and talk a lot about poverty and growing up as an Appalachian in West Virginia. And so it felt just like the perfect opportunity to learn more about food insecurity here in Greenville, to partner with the Shy Institute to learn more about sustainable farming and things like that. So it was just a perfect fit.
We here for our Artist in Residence program, because it is part of the Furman, it's like the Furman Advantage, right? Want our artists in residence to engage with our students, which is something that not all artist residencies do. And fundamentally, it's about, in a way, it's taking the artist away from their time to just produce their art. We offered Derek the opportunity to teach a course here on campus. We were thinking, right, that if there was a way to kind of bring the artist in residence in closer contact with students, that was going to be essential to kind of building that sense of community, right? The idea that there could be an opportunity to take a class with someone who is from outside of the art professors here. But I think that having kind of that investment with the student body and so that consistent exchange has kind of grown Derek's exposure to the students and made him kind of more of a consistent fixture, which has been ideal for what this program is, right? Like if we're thinking about a way for students to actually kind of engage with a professional artist, that is exactly it.
There is so much incredible art in the making this semester, in and out of the studio. You can see Derek's exhibit in the Row Art Building Gallery. If you want to support the performing arts as well, this weekend Popper Players presents The Lightning Thief, directed by our very own Caitlin Wong. The musical Lightning Thief is a rock musical based on the first book of the Percy Jackson series. The musical features 3 young demigods, Percy, Annabeth, and Grover, as they fight monsters and sing some knockout rock songs on their quest to find Zeus's missing lightning bolt. Their performance is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in the McAllister Auditorium. It is both a CLP and free for all Furman students. We got to hear from Catherine Porter, this production's Annabeth Chase.
Everyone should come see the show because it's been such a fun experience and you get to see fight choreo, you get to see some cool singing. Everyone's been great in the cast and yeah, you should come see it.
March Madness is underway, and if you're trying to catch your favorite team on the court, you're a prime target for scammers. To avoid getting scammed, experts say to stick to buying tickets from people you trust. That means try to avoid buying tickets from someone on Facebook Marketplace or other social media, unless you know them. Don't click on any suspicious links and make sure you use a safe payment method like a credit card. Experts say if the price looks too good to be true, it probably is. Now let's send it over to Dixon for sports.
Welcome back to sports. Let's get right into all of the sports that happened this past week, starting with Furman men's basketball team. The Paladins traveled to North Texas this past week to face off against the University of North Texas in the first round of the NIT tournament. The Dens put up a great fight but fell short 64 to 75. Cooper Bowser talks about the experience and the shock about getting into the tournament.
It was definitely a surprise. You know, we weren't expected to make it, but a lot of teams decided that they weren't going to do it. So it was a great surprise, and we were very excited to make it and play in it, of course. And the experience was great. I mean, a postseason game at an American school like that, a big school, and yeah, it was a great experience for us and some of the young guys playing postseason basketball for the first time. So it was very fun.
A handful of Paladins teams saw action this week. Men's and women's tennis and lacrosse were the events that took place on campus, while softball hit the road. Men's tennis went 0-2 in their contest this week as they dropped back-to-back matches against Jacksonville State and UAB. The Paladins had hoped to use these matches as fuel and momentum to launch them into conference play, but that was not the case this past weekend as the Paladins dropped their 5th and 6th matches in a row, adding 2 more losses to their 5-9 record, bringing their season record to 5-11. Women's tennis, however, fared much better in their 2 contests this week as they hosted number 42 Yale and Brown University, winning the contest by scores of 4-2 and 4-0 respectively. The women's tennis team extended their winning streak from 6-8 this past week and continues to dominate the opposition as they continue to surge in the women's tennis national rankings. Softball traveled to rival school Wofford, where they played their 3-game series with the Terriers. The Paladins started the weekend slow, dropping the first 2 games, but they would avoid the sweep on Sunday as they defeated the Terriers by a score of 4-3. The women's lacrosse team was back in action in Paladin Stadium this past weekend as they played host to Queens Saturday afternoon. The Paladins took a 13-12 victory in an absolute nail-biter of a match, with Furman coming back from being down 5 at halftime to win the game on a goal scored with 22 seconds left. The world of college athletics has changed drastically over the past 5 years, and the transfer portal has been one of the biggest creators of this change.
Let's go, baby, let's go. Get loose, get loose.
The transfer portal is used by nearly every school in the country to recruit new talent to their rosters, and Furman University is no exception. The football team this year added 9 transfers to pad their roster at tight end, wide receiver, defensive back, and offensive line. Caleb Williams, a junior on the team, talks a little bit more about how the newcomers are helping the team.
I think that we got a few transfers that came in, some older guys who I think will be a great addition to our team, especially because of how young we were last year. We got one guy who's a safety, came in, and he's making an impact pretty quick. He's a real smart guy, Taylor Blaylock. I think he'll come and make a real big impact for us this fall. And then we got some guys on the O-line as well who will really come and help us out, help us mature up there, and hopefully get a SoCon championship this fall.
Carson Jones, a junior quarterback, shares his thoughts on the new guys as well.
Yeah, our transfers have, I think, been really good. I think our coaches have done a good job of going to the portal and finding guys that can be ready to play right away. I think on both sides of the ball, we've gotten a bunch of good DBs. And then really from offensive side of the ball, which I play, I think we've gotten 2 good receivers.
From the perspective of the players, the new guys are already making plays on both sides of the ball and are making a great impression. And we are all excited to see what they can do this fall.
We will continue to keep an eye on the football team and keep you up to date on all things football. As many of you know, just a year ago, Furman lost a dear friend and a great student in Bryce Stanfield. Bryce collapsed on the football field and was sent to the hospital where he later passed away, surrounded by friends and family. While this was a tragic moment for everyone on Furman's campus, the tragedy proved to be a unifying event for many students on campus. Now, a year later, we have the opportunity to unite for Bryce and his family once again at the Blood Clot Awareness event on Saturday. Molly Fowle is helping to organize the event.
On March 30th, on Paladin Stadium right here, we are going to host a blood clot awareness event for Bryce Stanfield and other people whose lives have been affected by blood clots. We got this idea through Mrs. Stanfield, who kind of showed us and taught us about Blood Clot Awareness Month, which is March, and then we came up with the idea of celebrating that for everyone. The goal is to not just raise money, but to increase participation in moving our bodies, doing a workout, a very simple workout that kind of is inclusive for every single person at Furman, staff, student, athlete, everyone. So I'm super excited that we get to all come together, hear from a few healthcare professionals and also the Stanfields about what it's like to endure a blood clot and to be affected by them.
Again, all are welcome at the event. I know it would mean the world to the football team as well as the entire Furman community. On another note, men's tennis will take the court again this weekend as they host Emmanuel at 1 p.m. on Saturday. This match is a must-win for the Paladins as the men's team has lost its last 6 matches. Women's tennis hosts Charlotte on Friday at 3 p.m. and then hosts Mercer on Tuesday again at 3 p.m. The women's team look to extend their winning streak but also open up home conference play with a win against a strong Mercer squad. The Paladins already have 2 conference wins that were earned before the conference stretch of the season, but they will look to extend that streak on Tuesday. Well, Clancy, how about our women's tennis team on an absolute heater right now? 8 straight matches in a row? That's crazy.
That is crazy. Let's not talk about the men's team.
That's probably for the best. But hey, the men's team have a great opportunity this upcoming week to right their season and get right back on track right in time for conference play.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dixon, and thank you for joining us. We're going to spread a little love as we leave you now with scenes from our beautiful campus.